A very good morning, I bid to Dr. Kok. Today I want to present my research report. And this is my biodata. And my title of the research is Effectiveness of Using Game-Based Learning in Teaching Problem Solving of Money Among Year 6 Students. This is the part 1 introduction. Okay, so for the background study, this research explores how educational games can help students better understand and apply money concepts. Drawing from fields like psychology, education, and technology, this research investigates how games engage students, promote active learning, and improve problem-solving skills. Studies examine factors like game design, student motivation, and learning outcomes to determine the impact of game-based intervention. By synthesizing evidence from various studies, researchers aim to provide insight into how games can be effectively integrated into mathematics education to enhance student learning and achievement. So for the problem statement, the problem statement for the effectiveness of using game-based learning in teaching problem solving of money among year 6 students in mathematics is, how can we make maths more engaging and understandable for students? This research aims to explore whether using games can help students improve their problem-solving skill in the topic money. By investigating how games can be integrated into maths lessons, we seek to find ways to make learning maths more enjoyable and actively. This study will examine whether playing educational games can enhance students' ability to solve maths problems, ultimately helps educators make informed decisions about incorporating game-based learning into their teaching strategy. Okay, next we move to the purpose of the studies. For the research objective, the first is determine if game-based learning can improve year 6 students' problem-solving abilities in the topic money. And the second is evaluate the impact of game-based learning on student engagement and motivation in maths problem-solving of money among year 6 students. And the third is investigate the effectiveness of integrating game-based learning into traditional maths learning. And next research question, how can game-based learning be used to teach problem-solving of money among year 6 students in mathematics? And the second, what are the benefits of using game-based learning in teaching mathematics problem-solving of money among year 6 students? And the last research question is, how do the game impact students' ability to solve financial problems effectively? Okay, for the research hypothesis, the first hypothesis is there is not a significant difference in the transferability of problem-solving skill from game-based learning to real-world math problems compared to traditional instruction. And the second hypothesis is problem-solving skills acquired through game-based learning activities are more transferable to real-world math problems than those acquired through traditional instruction. Okay, next is the scope and limitation of study. This study will focus on evaluating the effectiveness of game-based learning in teaching problem-solving skills related to money among year 6 students in the primary school in Tuaran. It will explore how incorporating game-based learning activities into the curriculum can enhance students' understanding and application of financial concepts such as budgeting, discount, saving, and making informed financial decisions. Focused mathematics achievement is dependent on students' score in the pre-test and post-test. For mathematics subject, let's focus on the topic money. A total of 30 students for the control group and 30 students for the experimental group were sampled for this study to measure the influence of game-based learning in problem solving of students at the primary school and in Tuaran. Okay, next is the significance of the study. The significance of this study lies in its potential to improve financial literacy among Year 6 students through engaging and interactive learning experience. By investigating the effectiveness of game-based learning in teaching money-related problem-solving skills, this research addresses a critical need to equip students with essential financial competencies. Successful implementation of game-based learning can enhance student motivation, engagement, and understanding of financial concepts, setting a foundation for responsible financial decision-making in daily life. Furthermore, the findings of these studies can inform educational practice and curriculum development, offering insights into effective strategy for integrating game-based learning into mathematics education to promote financial literacy among students. Okay, so for the operational definition of terms, the first one is game-based learning. Game-based learning is one of the main education trends of 21st century, referred to the Ahmad and Iksan 2021. To student-centered learning activities, which is game-based learning, enhances learning efficiency by striking a balance between traditional classroom instruction and education games. Furthermore, it is one of the approaches that is more creative and engaging, and it will indirectly encourage students to pay attention to the things that the teacher is teaching. This is because the students have a natural inclination to make use of the time by playing games. Additionally, educational games may encourage students to enjoy learning, to feel comfortable approaching a variety of challenges along the way, and to overcome these challenges with focus, self-assurance, and passion. All these are skills that are essential for higher education and in the development of learners who will continue to learn throughout their life. Okay, the second is problem solving. Problem solving is a fundamental soft skill crucial for navigating various aspects of professional and personal life. It encompasses the ability to identify, analyze, and solve challenges or obstacles efficiently and effectively. A strong problem solver exhibits critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability in approaches complex issues. Effective problem solving involves breaking down problems into manageable components, exploring alternate solutions, and making informed decisions based on available information. Furthermore, communication and collaboration are often essential elements in problem-solving processes as they facilitate brainstorming, gathering diverse perspectives, and implementing solutions collaboratively. Developing and honing problem-solving skills not only enhance individual performance but also contribute to team success and organizational growth in dynamic environment. So effectiveness of game-based learning of student problem solving will be evaluated based on the pre-test and post-test for a money topic in year 6 given to the both study group. Okay, next we move to the second part, which is literature review. Okay, this is the first context of the study, which is game-based learning in mathematics. Game-based learning, which is a technique that is actively used to motivate students to engage in learning mathematics by having fun and to add curiosity to the learning process. This is advantageous for the growth of cognition. This is no denying global game-based learning appears as a teaching tool in the classroom. Its goal is to show how studying contributes to increased intellectual growth. Game-based learning aids in students' development and adaptation of complex skills in mathematics. Environments for learning through games have the potential to help spread information outside of the classroom. Consequently, there has been a rise in student engagement within the mathematics lesson. Through game-based learning, students can collaborate with their classmates to learn, which boosts their engagement in the classroom. Okay, the next context of the study, which is effectiveness of game-based learning. Numerous advantages of using game-based learning in mathematics education contribute to raising the standard of instruction and learning. Innovative, interactive units provide more effective learning as compared to the usage of conventional devices. Meanwhile, student-centered implementation and set learning objectives that are in line with curriculum standards increase the effectiveness of game-based learning. If students are able to develop mathematical concepts on their own in a constructivist manner, they will study mathematics more successfully, thus using game-based learning to the teaching and learning of mathematics helps students become more self-aware. Additionally, game-based learning provides an engaging technology-based learning environment where students may play as their study. Okay, the third context of the study is enhancing problem solving through game-based learning. The components of a game-based learning model are ideas or learning objective, a learning process or avenue for players for gaining knowledge, and game mechanics, or the rules that control how the game is played. For the use of game-based learning to help students become more proficient in solving real-world problems is becoming more popular. There's still not many studies that support this approach, despite a variety of studies suggesting that game-based learning enhances students' attention and engagement. Problem-solving skills remain essential. However, the fact that game-based learning is not used in other classrooms and that these studies are not really focused on the game design, especially to help with real-world problem solving skills, hinders our comprehension of the game's usefulness and application. Consequently, actual data demonstrating how the game-based learning model applies to different board games improves students' problem-solving skill is required. Okay, the research theory, the first one is cognitive theory. The cognitive theory, learning theory founded by Brunner and Simons in the 1950s, emphasized the creation of a coding system and this system that will enable transfer, promote memory, and add problem solving and motivate students. When a student undergoes the process of teaching and learning, they will encode every experience received and store it in both short-term and long-term memory. Behavioral change is used as a clue to the process that occurs in the student's mind. Cognitive theories identify the learning involves relationship generated through continuous practice and repetition. Strengthening is important, but its role to give feedback like motivation is emphasized. According to Kamaruddin 2003, the theory of cognitive learning involves mental processes that have an effect of human behavior. The process occurs in the brain to enable a person to master the thinking skill. The process focuses on the phenomena such as readiness, perception, motor guidance, attention, memory, learning, and persecution. Furthermore, cognitive processes involve intellectual processes that involve the mastery of language and learning something of science. Okay, the second research theory is constructivism theory. Constructivism is theory of learning that suggests a learner's actively construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing and reflecting on their experience. The theory of constructivism states that students construct meaning about the world by synthesizing new experience to what they understood before. They form rules by reflecting on their interaction with objectives and ideas. Whenever they encounter object, ideas, or relationships that are not meaningful to them, they will either interpret what they see to match the rules they have formed, or they will adapt the rules so that they can interpret this new information better. This theory has significant implications for educational practices, advocating for learner-centered instruction, scaffolding, and the facilitation of active engagement and reflection to support students in constructing their understanding of concept and skill. Okay, this is my findings of the previous study. Okay, the title of the previous study is Improving Students' Problem-Solving Ability in Mathematics Through Game-Based Learning Activities. From this study, it can be concluded that there is an increase in problem-solving skill. Students' problem-solving proficiency improved from 68.8% in the first cycle to 96% in the second. In the first cycle, the average graded attention was 63.44%. In the second cycle, it increased to 95.71%. In addition, employing games to teach mathematics can enhance student learning outcomes. The percentage of students who achieved 31.25% in the first cycle and 100 in the second cycle of classical completion indicates it. Additionally, using game-based learning to teach mathematics can make pupils more engaged. The percentage of students who participate in the first cycle was 65.89%, while in the second cycle it was 85.42%. Furthermore, game-based learning can help teachers become more proficient mathematicians, the proportion of which was 82.5% in the first cycle and 92.5% in the second cycle proved this. Okay, my second finding of the previous studies is influence of game-based learning in mathematics education on the students' cognitive and affective domain, a systematic review. Okay, from this study stated that the learning environment has an impact of the effectiveness which students learn mathematics. As a result, using game-based learning will accelerate students' learning since it creates an atmosphere where information and game content are combined. Other than that, students' cognitive and affective domains can be integrated with game-based learning to enhance their learning process and provide a more manageable yet effective learning environment. Through the use of game-based learning approach to engage students' motivation, interest, attitude, and active involvement in mathematics classes, the learning applications results help students understand the material being covered in class and ultimately improve their academic performance. Okay, let's move to the part 3, research methodology. Okay, research design. The design of this study is a quantitative study that uses experimental study design to collect data. This experimental study uses the pre-test and post-test design of control group and experimental group. Okay, this study used a random sampling method involving a total of 60 respondents consisting of 30 students for the experimental group and 30 students for the control group from a primary school in Tuaran district. Quantitative is employed to measure attitude, belief, action, and other variables as well as to generalize data from a larger sample size. Thus, this study can be used to investigate in a comprehensive way where how the game-based learning improves the students' problem-solving skill in the topic of money. The sampling method, okay. The study population consists of Year 6 students in primary school in the Tuaran area. Since it involves a large population, sampling needs to be done. The sampling method that has been used is simple random sampling because this study is an experimental one. This is to ensure that the level of problem-solving competency and mathematics achievement of students can be measured fairly to be chosen as respondents in this study. But the result of this study will not be generalized to all students or schools. The samplings in this study use simple random sampling of Year 6 students in the Tuaran area who took the mathematics subject. This study only involves a school in Tuaran. The sample consists of 60 Year 6 students from a primary school in Tuaran. Okay, the research instrument have two. The first one is questionnaires, and the second is pre-test and post-test. For the questionnaires, this is a quick, easy, and cost-effective method of gathering a lot of data from a wide sample of people is by questionnaires. This research instrument chosen is a 5-point Likert scale questionnaire. For the pre-test and post-test are given to students to measure the effectiveness of using game-based learning in teaching problem-solving of money among Year 6 students. Okay, this is the questionnaire. This questionnaire to do is to measure the level of problem-solving skill of Year 6 students in Tuaran towards mathematics. This questionnaire consists of two main parts, Part A and Part B. Questionnaire with a 5-point Likert scale, which is strongly disagree, which is 1, disagree, 2, neither agree nor disagree, 3, agree 4, and strongly agree, which is 5. Okay, this is the sample of pre-test and post-test. The pre-test and post-test contain 10 question components involving the entire topic of money based on the Year 6 Mathematics Curriculum and Assessment Standard Document, which is TSKP. The pre-test is given at the beginning of the study, while the post-test is given after both groups go through the intervention. The researchers obtains the scores of both tests and compares the two results to see the effectiveness of game-based learning. This is the conceptual framework. Based on this figure, the conceptual framework is studying the effectiveness of game-based learning on Year 6 student problem solving in topic money. Game-based learning is an independent variable because it is an intervention in this study. The learning method involves teacher and students as the main components involved in the process of demonstrating its effectiveness in this study. Independence variable in quasi-experimental research can be manipulated or changed. In this study, the game-based learning method will be given to the experimental group, while the control group will use the traditional method. This study has a dependent variable, which is the problem-solving skill of Year 6 student in topic money. The student's achievement performance is determined through pre-test achievement and post-test achievement. The pre-test and post-test scores were used by the researchers to determine the rate of improvement in achievement performance. Therefore, with the proven increase in the effectiveness of game-based learning on students' achievement, for the dependence variable, the problem-solving skills are determined through a comparison with the score between the control group and experimental group. And this is the intervention or treatment procedure. Okay, refer to this figure. This study used an experimental research design. This study examined the effect of game-based learning on students' problem-solving skills. At the initial stage, the researcher wants to know the student levels of problem-solving in the topic of money year 6 by giving a pre-test to both groups. The pre-test is given 30 minutes to answer all the questions before the method is applied. The pre-test contains 10 structured questions to find out the student's existing knowledge related to the topic of money in year 6. The intervention of game-based learning method was given to the experimental group in the teaching and facilitation section related to the money in year 6. This group will use the game-based learning, while the control group will be given traditional learning. Game-based learning based on the topic money applies problem-solving method for students to explore concepts and interpret skill and mastery the topic money in year 6. The researchers provide some real-world problems related. I provide some real-world problems related to the learning topic of money. Then students answer the question with guidance to solve the given problems. The intervention will take a 1-hour season in the classroom for the experimental group. The control group only participate learning season using traditional methods without intervention. After being given the intervention, the largest stage in the procedure of this study is to give two main instruction to study main instrument to study the level of student motivation and achievement through a post-test. All students will be given a set of questionnaires to measure the level of problem-solving skill. The survey question form contains two parts, namely Part A, which is demographics, and Part B is level of problem-solving skill. Students are given 10 minutes to answer all the 15 components in the questioning and give it back for data integration. Then students are given a set of post-tests to make an assessment to test the effectiveness of game-based learning methods on students' problem-solving skills. All the data that has been obtained will be analyzed through the prescribed method. Okay, next is the pilot study. Okay, this pilot study will conduct in a school in Tuaran area involving a sample of 60 students in year 6. The sample consists of 30 students for the experimental group and 30 students for the control group. A pre-test was given to both groups. For the intervention experimental group, game-based teaching will carry out for a 1-hour learning session, while the control group uses traditional teaching methods related to learning money for year 6. Upon completion of the lessons session, students will be asked to answer the course exam for 15 minutes and fill in a questionnaire on the level of problem-solving skills of students toward mathematics. And data collection. This study will conduct after obtaining permission from the school and the results of discussion with the teacher involved. The data collection procedure begins with the researcher giving a pretest to the experimenter and the control group. Then the researcher conducts a game-based learning in an hour learning lesson related to the topic of money in year 6. After finishing the lesson, the researchers will give a post-test within 15 minutes. Next, the researchers give times for 10 minutes to give 10 minutes to the research sample, which is the year 6 students, to answer the questionnaires that had been given and send it back to the researchers. The same procedure as uses to the control group. but it was different in the intervention part. That is, the teaching used what was the traditional teaching method. The data collection process takes place in different times. The result of data collection will be analyzed according to the appropriate methodology based on the research question and fulfilling the research hypothesis. Okay, next is data analysis procedure. Data analysis procedure will conduct after data collected. Researchers will collect pre-test and post-test data on students' problem-solving skill related to the topic of money in year 6. This data will be analyzed using descriptive statistics to determine the initial level of problem-solving skill and any change following the game-based learning intervention. Next, we will employ the inferential statistics such as pair t-test or analysis of various ANOVA to compare the mean scores between pre-test and post-test measurement, assessing the significance of any improvement. And that's all for me. Thank you.